Ask the Podcast Coach for January 10th, 2026.
Let's get ready to podcast.
There it is. It's that music that means it is Saturday morning. It's time for Ask the Podcast Coach, where you get your podcast questions answered live. I'm Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting.com. And I'm pausing here because there it is. That's me. And over right there, and this button better work, is the one and only Jim Cullison from theaverageguy.tv. Yeah, I dotted I's and crossed T's because overnight my Mac updated to a new, and I was like, we better double check everything. So, Jim, how's it going, buddy?
Greetings, Dave. Happy Saturday morning to you. It has been a Mac updating weekend. I forgot about that. I held mine off a little bit, so I'm still got the little red X, but time for updates. Hey, just a reminder, it's that time of the year, tax time for folks in the United States. Tax time's coming. It's a good time to check your smoke detectors. It's a good time to check your backups. It's a good time to check your updates. Just make sure you don't get caught in the middle of one. I think, Dave, we're in a technology-wise, we're in a pretty good spot these days where those things don't just happen to you like they used to. Even with Windows, who's the worst at updates, right? I mean, there's so many of them. And in the old days, they used to just reboot on you, like totally just, no, not even asking. We're just doing it. It's going to get done. I think we're past, you may disagree with me, and that's okay if you do. We're past most of it, but welcome to 2026. I know we did a show last year, but that was a goof around holiday show. We're in it now. Your first full week back at work. How are you feeling, Dave, after a full, isn't that a shocker?
Yeah, it's weird. Well, Tim says friends don't let friends use Macs. I got to tell you, now granted, I was plugging in a monitor, so it wasn't like I was, reconfiguring RAM or something. But I finally have dual monitors on my Mac. The PC is sitting here gathering more dust, and I plugged in the monitor. I didn't have to go into my settings and say, hey, I got another monitor. It was just like, boop, here it's going. So, but in terms of the week, I thought I would be better this week, but somehow my sleeping habits have gotten all screwed up, and I find myself taking involuntary naps for no apparent reason. So you're just like,
I've been working for 8 hours. Like, this is terrible. Like, I need a day off. It's coming back from this. I don't know why these 2 weeks, Christmas and New Year's. First of all, we should change that and spread those things out a little bit. Like, why do we have a holiday a month, November, December, October, November, December, and then all of a sudden no holidays until Easter? Like, we should move Christmas. Maybe it should be February 25th or something like that.
Well, that's got Valentine's Day,
that's
not a real one. Yeah. So, but if you're tired, there is something you could do to help with that, of course. And that is popping hot cup of, why can I not say?
You kind of messed that up quite a bit.
Piping hot cup of Java. And that Java, of course, is brought to you by our good friend Mark over at podcastbranding.co. If you need artwork, well, he's done a lot of my artwork over the years. And the thing I love about it is I don't think I've ever had to go back and go, no, that's not it. Because he'll give you a few options and it's like, ooh, I like number 2. So the beauty of it is he's made like probably 1,000, if not more, pieces of artwork now for different podcasters. And if you go, I could also use a website. Yep, he could do that. Need business cards? Yep, he can do that. Anything that is publicly facing. Need a full website? He can do that. And the thing that's great about Mark is he's an award-winning graphic web designer, and he's got 30 years in the design field, and he's been podcasting since 2013. So you need somebody who understands podcasting and web design and looking good. Well, that's Mark over at podcastbranding.co.
Such a soothing ending to that song.
It is.
To our good friend Dan Lefebvre over there, based on a true story at basedonatruestorypodcast.com. Last week we talked about Captain Phillips. If you're kind of a history or that World War II era, buff, you may want to go back to some of his back episodes beyond Pearl Harbor, and then he covered Nuremberg, And so those are out there. And then we talked a long time ago. We talked about Project Blue Book. So maybe you need something to listen to while the alerts are coming in. You can catch those today.
That has been solved.
Based on a true story. Based on a true story podcast.com. And as always, Dan, thanks for your sponsorship.
Yeah, these are things I'm learning now. Like, oh, wait, that alert is on the Mac. And now the Mac's going to them. Like, I got to stop that. So.
I'm not sure right now there's a better computer for podcasting than a Mac Mini M4.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it. You can do the Mac, the laptops, the versions of those. But boy, that Mini is such a powerful device. I don't know if you necessarily need a laptop for, I like to carry laptops around. I like my podcast setup to be pretty static, right? I don't want to be putting things down, plugging them in, all those kinds of things. It's just a really good, I did the M1 for a couple years. I've been on the M4 now since it came out.
Yeah. I'm on an M2.
Dynamite. Yeah. It's just, the M2 is great. I mean, it's just a dynamite. It's kind of made for podcasting in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't take any advantage with the exception of Time Machine. And from a backup standpoint, listen, I was a Windows MVP for home server.
Yeah.
Let's just be really clear about this. Time Machine smokes anything Windows has ever done when it comes to backup, right? You always, on the Windows side, you always got to go to somebody else to get it.
Right.
It's complicated and whatever. And listen, trust me, there's ways to do it. And I'm sure you're doing it in a way that works great for you. Keep doing it. But man, for the average guy, Time Machine backup to something else is just nails. And so, I know the Mac PC thing, it's like the Java.net thing. I think that's pretty much over. When we're working on computers, most of the time, we're not spending time in the OS anymore. It's all about apps. And actually, Dave, in this case, we're coming in, it's a web service, right?
Yeah.
Coming in on the web. So it doesn't really matter for the most part. So,
yeah, I have turned me down. I know the last couple of weeks they're saying you're too quiet, and I'm like, okay, I've turned me down because you're at least on my end, you're up as loud as you can go. So, yeah, but we do have a question. First of all, Dave said, welcome to the club of involuntary naps, right? So
yeah, that may be as much of an age thing as it is a holiday thing, right?
But Mr. Chris Nessie says, hey, I've changed my podcast media host, thank you, and I'm a PodPage user. Do I need to update the RSS feed pulling into PodPage, or will the 301 redirect on my old host be enough? Here's the cool thing. When you put the 301 redirect in, you're done. That's it. PodPage will update to the new feed. Now, if you want to, you can go into settings, RSS feed, and paste in your new one if you want to do it manually. But PodPage will follow with the 301 redirect and update. And then the next time it updates, your old media host players will vanish and the new ones will show up. So the only thing that is kind of like, oh, just so you know. So because PodPage will import your show notes. And if you add another paragraph and a half to that, the paragraph and a half that you added that's not in your feed will go bye-bye. So that's the only, but a lot of times now I've switched. I used to have my show notes fairly concise, and then I would add more stuff to the website. And now with the way Apple and different apps are kind of transcribing and all the other fun stuff, I'm like, well, let's just put worst case scenario, the person has to scroll to see the links. I'm like, that's not the world's worst thing. So, so you don't have to do anything. That's the beauty of it. The thing that sucks is when you're on WordPress and you have 900 episodes. When you switch media hosts, you have to go back and switch all 900 episodes by hand. I was like, unless you have some sort of plugin that's based on RSS or something like that. But yeah, that's the good news. Everybody's saying good morning in the chat room. So good morning to you as well. If you're going to be at PodFest, I'll be walking around in a PodPage shirt. There's a lot of pods coming out of my mouth this morning. PodFest, PodPage. So here we go. But we did have a question. I saw this morning without getting into the old, video is not a podcast kind of thing. This person said, I've been noticing more podcasters moving into video, even when their shows originally worked perfectly as audio only. On one hand, video seems to help with discoverability and clips for social platforms. Absolutely true. But on the other hand, it adds more complexity, kinda. Editing time, absolutely. And pressure to perform. Yeah, I would say that. For those who have tried both, did adding video generally help your podcast grow, or did it mostly increase workload without much return? I'm curious whether video has been worth it in real-world experience or if audio first is still the smarter focus for most shows. Well, I would say it's always the smarter focus because it's less burnout. I need to go look at it. Tom Webster and Sounds Profitable put out a report called The Consumers, I think it is, or The Producers, or it's one of those one-word things. But it's all about podcasters, and they said that one of the things, at least from what I've heard, because I've not read it, so maybe I should just shut up. But it sounds like the people I've heard talk about it, that maybe doing video tends to burn you out a little quicker. And I would see, if you're brand new, I could see that absolutely. Chris from castahead.net says, any thoughts on iHeart announcing video via RSS? Only a few hosts really have that capability, but could spur this to others. Yeah, I heard that and was like, that number one, it's iHeart, which owns Spreaker. And right now, I think Spreaker has a problem because it's free, right? They're one of the free hosts, and sort of free. Yeah,
right. I mean, they have a free plan. It's severely limited. Like,
well,
I use it. I mean, I don't use it for my regular host. I use it, but it's really limited. So I don't.
Yeah, and I know
viable.
Yeah, they own one of those ad services. I'm sure they do, because
they do.
And so it's how's that go? Causation doesn't equal something, but it's like, it's one of those where it just so happens, let's put it that way, that every time I hear someone talk about an AI Slop podcast, they're all using Spreaker because they've got the ads. The AI, yeah. And so to the point where I'm not sounding the alarm yet, but if you're on Spreaker, you may find a time in the future, because there are, like, I was listening to the Podcasting 2.0 show. So they do the whole podcast index, which is the kind of open version of the database of podcasts. So it's bigger than Apple, and they build it because Apple and other apps started pulling people. They're like, oh, well, you said booger too many times, you're gone, And so they built this thing. And but now when you get people making 3,000 episodes a week and you're the database, holy cow, and if more and more people start doing that, these, different directories are going to have to index those, and that's going to be a huge issue. So I heard James Cridlin this morning saying, we've got to find an answer for AI Slop, because in some cases, these things are getting popular. There's one called I think it's Catcast. And it's, a very obvious AI person talking about how cats are fun and cats are this and cats are, I'm like, okay. But they said if enough of these get popular, it's only going to breed more people doing it. And then we're going to have, hey, here's another company that's doing 5,000 episodes a week.
Yeah, but the market will figure that out, right? I mean, we're in the early days of this, and so anytime these new technologies come along, and we worry about it, and the market has a way of righting itself. And I don't listen. I was listening to one the other day, and I realized, halfway into it, I'm like, oh, this was a YouTube video. You can tell in a YouTube video with all this, it's 100% B-roll, and then listen to the voice, and you're like, oh, this was 100% created by AI. But I got about 10 minutes into it, and the content wasn't bad, Dave. I mean, it doesn't, just because it was created by AI, you call it AI Slop, and that's fair, right? But it doesn't mean it's bad, and it could actually get better. And let the market be the judge of what's good and what's not good, because I think there's going to be some really good creative stuff that comes from these. and I think the ship will find its way on this thing, and we'll get some good stuff. We're just in that early phase, that early adopter phase of AI, especially in this area of it. It will make discoverability an interesting issue as we get, like you said, if you can create many more of them faster. But I think the market will figure this out, right? I think it'll folks, eventually, you're paying for all of this. I mean, or eventually we'll have to pay for all of it. So I tend to be a little more positive on it, just to say, yes, that's the way it is today. I don't think it's going to be that way for the future. But if it's good content, does it matter if you made it or if AI made it?
Yeah. Well, I still think it might contribute to the race to the bottom with CPM ads, because somebody might say, well, I'm not taking $2 CPM, but the AI slop guys will be like, oh, we'll take that all day long. Tanner says, in terms of adding video, he says, it hurt mine, but that could have been the way I went about it. I started doing live episodes. I catered more to my new video audience, who made up a small fraction of my audience, and lost the audio folks. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, the Creators Lab, is it Jay France? It's Jay something.
But Jay Franzi is one of our listeners, but
yeah. Man, Creators Lab. I can see his face. I cannot think of his name, but he said, I'm doubling down on audio. He said, I started a video, a YouTube channel for the podcast, really focused on YouTube. And he said he thought it hurt the content because he was doing things like, you'll see, he was doing more video stuff. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. Just leave it on the video. I don't want to listen to your podcast where you'll say, oh, you'll see here in the upper right-hand corner that this is doing, like, no, that's now you've done something that's not going to work in audio. But I mean, this is a talking head show for the most part. So this works in both ways. That's going to drive me nuts that I can't remember his name. But so it's one of those things where it is that I always say the way it's more work, because like this show isn't more work. Yeah. Dad Space says the cat show has hit the charts. Yeah. That's what James was talking about. But
it's good.
Yeah. It's good. The more work is you've got to learn how to do a good thumbnail, which if you got $50, AI will do that for you. And you got to learn the algorithm, and you can use things like Video IQ and all this other stuff that in theory will help you find videos that can go a little more viral than usual. Chris says, are average podcast listeners complaining about AI Slopcast, or is it just creators? All I know, he didn't, and the problem is they probably don't know. This is a survey of one. I have my best friend has started getting into, he's like, you talk about these podcast things all the time. I really wanted to start listening to them. And he said, I found one. He goes, it's really good. And he goes, and then when I went looking, he was like, the next 9, he goes, I kind of gave up because they were just horrible. They're just two friends talking about stuff that I don't know what they're talking about. He goes, they don't get to the point. And he goes, and then the audio, he said, the one, I swear they were recording it in their car while they were driving. And I go, they probably were. I go, which is horrible. But that's, so that's one person saying, well, I found one good one. And that's, I think, why creators get worried, because we want them to find another good show and another good show and another good show, instead of like, well, I tried for 15 minutes. I couldn't find a good one. So I think that's why podcasters get worried about that, is it's, one bad apple can spoil the whole, how's that go? One bad apple spoils the whole
barrel.
Whole barrel. Thank you. Here's things you don't hear people say a lot. It made me do a tangent. The Osmonds, God, how old is that? Had a song about one bad apple, the whole bunch of girls. There we go, because it was the Osmonds. But that melody came in my head, and I'm like, my brain's like, here's something we haven't thought about in 45 years. Stephanie's dying to know. Jay Klaus, thank you. Tell him what he's won.
Rich Graham.
It's a cheese straightener. Yeah. So Jay said that he was going to kind of focus a bit more on the audio, Because again, my thing that I always look at, again, if you want to do video, but completion rate is much higher on audio, at least in my travels, than it is. Stephanie wants to know, Jim, what does your shirt say? So
It's Trek Up the Tower. This is Power Up the Tower. Sorry.
Oh, this is you being crazy. Where you
This is where I climb. Yeah, actually, in a couple of weeks, I'll be out doing this again. First Saturday in February, I think is when I'll be out. But this year, only one, Dave. So this race has a vertical mile, so 11 times, so 40 flights up. Do that 11 times, right? Do the math on that one. It's a long way. Last year I did it sick, and that was not advisable. And I was this is where, don't podcast sick, friends. Don't do tower,
No.
don't run upstairs sick. And I was out for a couple weeks after that because it just knocked me out. But yeah, this is the last year they're doing it. Speaking of, when you think about things that don't last forever, this is their 20th year of doing this. But these sporting events, running and some of those kinds of things were damaged during the COVID era. And, of course, participation went way down, and they haven't been able to pull it back. It will come back. This kind of stuff will come back. It always does. It's always cyclical, right? It'll always come back. But yeah, I've seen a lot of running races shut down. This Trek of the Tower this year, they said, this will be the last year we're going to do it in this form. It may come back. We're building another tower here in Omaha, so maybe we'll see it again. But yeah, it's that things don't last forever. This is why I think, Dave, it's important when you're doing your podcast and it's going well, and you define how going well, you define what that means, whether it's getting the number of downloads that you want or getting the audience engagement as you want or whatever. Lean into it and do it until that stops. I think sometimes we get too afraid of our own success and we're like, oh, I could burn out. How great would it be to burn out doing something you love to do?
Yeah.
Like burning out when it's in a job you hate, that's one thing. But imagine you're doing something you love to do and you burn out doing it. I can't imagine too many things that would be better than that. And so as you're thinking about these cycles of it, I think sometimes we just get too worried about like, oh, but is it sustainable? Okay, will I burn out on it? Well, if you're loving it, lean into the thing until you're not. And then when you're not, get out, right? And I think it's a pretty easy, it's maybe harder said or easier said than done. But man, if you're loving this thing, get in there. Now, okay, some of you have families. You can't. You got to take care of your current obligations, friends. That's not what I'm saying, but certainly, if it's working well, keep doing it.
Yeah,
just keep doing it.
If you're having fun, that's my next week's Monday's episode of the School of Podcasting is going to talk about how I have found, and it's weird. They all came up in the same week. Celebrities talking about how long it took for them to act, like Seinfeld. It was like season 4 when they finally took off, and they really, and Jerry said, I was really surprised we were still on the air because their numbers were like crap.
Very good.
Yeah. John says, I was thinking about the Osmonds too. Well, there you go. Old men unite. Exactly. What was here, Ralph has, there used to be a group called Podcasters Therapy. It was Nick Suberling.
Oh yeah.
And the guy from Ivy Envy, and we would all just get together and commiserate. But he said, can anyone recommend a support group of those who keep wanting to add a new show? I feel like I need a 12-step plan. I am trying to say no, but I keep feeling the pull. Just about the time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Yeah, it's one of those things. I have a show that I've been thinking about, and I keep putting it. That's my test. I'm like, if it's something I really want to do, it'll keep coming. It's like a boomerang. And then it's just a matter of like, okay. Chris says, hey, if there's going to be more AI slop, it just means we need to be better storytellers. That is a good point, I think. Tanner says, I think the biggest threat to human creators is AI customer content. Listeners can ask AI to create shows on demand tailored to their interests and preferences. That's a thing now. It's poor, like Jim said. It's as bad as it's going to get. But you can say, give me an 8-minute podcast on the pig market from, let's let George read it today. And here it is. And I was like, oh, that's not good. And then here's someone who loves Spreaker. Says, I started podcasting like 15 years ago. Began on Spreaker, tried others after a few years, but always went back to Spreaker. I never found anything that came close to my enjoyment of Spreaker. Yeah, as long as you don't need a website. And if you need a website, I know a place that can give you a website for your show. We have a lot of people from Spreaker. And this is why. The world's greatest chat room. I love this from Craig from Ingleus Podcast. Don't you think AI podcasts will inevitably take a large chunk of the pie? They're quicker and cheaper to produce and getting better all the time. There's one thing, and this is me tying two things together that maybe aren't. MTV's gone off the air for the most part. And they voted for cheaper, easier to make content. In fact, in the end, there was a show called Ridiculousness, which was pretty much some guy showing YouTube videos. So they kind of turned MTV into YouTube, trying to compete with YouTube. But I've seen a couple quotes from old VJs, like not Adam Curry, but one of the other guys. And he said, he goes, once YouTube came along, he said, we just went, wait a minute. And now they don't have to, it's like radio. Yeah. It's like, I don't have to sit and wait for my song.
Right. Who's going to sit? Like, it's an old format that just no one's going to tolerate it anymore. I mean, who goes and says, oh, it's, 8:00, time to go watch Magnum PI on TV, right? I mean, we don't do that anymore. And some people do, but most don't, right? We've gotten into either we're watching the episode on Netflix or on YouTube, or we're DVRing it, or that still happens. We're watching clips of it in that way. That's changing. I think too, we're in the midst of a change on the way we create content, and content providers, you better pay attention. Like, things are changing. This is one of those, AI has been one of those fundamental changing technologies. Everything's going to be different in 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 years from now than it is today. The way we're gonna look at audio episodes of podcasts the way we look at MTV, and say, yeah, it was good, but nobody's consuming content like that anymore. Nobody's down it, Dave. It'll go away. Like, RSS at some point, if it doesn't change, will be left behind.
You think?
I do.
I see. Yeah. I think it's going to be, because they're still like, what's the Mike Della's one? I want to say shortwave, but that's not it. Ham radio, operators, right? There's still people that doing ham radio. Okay.
Yeah, but like 5 people on the planet that are doing ham radio, except that now I'm going to hear from all 50,000 people.
I'm
right.
G27M6. Yeah.
Put your comments in chat, or put it down below in YouTube. But yeah, no, I'm not saying it will cease to be, and maybe that's too dramatic of a statement. Where MTV, I went off the air, it's gone. Will RSS always be available? Sure. But I think we're already seeing the diminishing effect of it as far as total media use, for sure.
I think what's going to happen, and this is the thing that's always in the back of my head, and I never want to say out loud, but I think what's going to happen is it's going to get worse. Like, I think AI Slop is going to do things. I think the people that are like, I got into this for the money, and I'm on 10 episodes. When can I make a living from this? I think it's going to get kind of worse for a bit. And then people will abandon it and then you're going to end up kind of like ham radio. I think you're going to end up with purists that are like, you know what? Because media hosts are going to add all this AI crap to their repertoire of tools, which, has anybody noticed that every company that added AI raised their price now? So there's going to be somebody that goes, look, we don't need all that stuff. I just need a media host. And they'll use that. It'll go back to 2010, where a media host is just a media host, and you'll have your RSS feed, and you'll have this super rabid audience that'll be consuming your stuff via RSS feed, and everything else will be, it's like, so I know Adam Curry said You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Think it's just going to go away?
It won't no. It always like ham radio. My ham radio friends are checking in the chat right now with their call signs, and I'm going to come murder you for saying that. But it's still there. I mean, these technologies are still there. I mean, we still text, right? But it's not a thing anymore. Like people, it becomes a utility, right?
Yeah.
And I think RSS will be their utility, but will it be what it is today? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's going to diminish. I think we've seen the heyday of RSS, and I think
I think
it'll begin to diminish.
Paul Culligan did a really great rage bait thing on LinkedIn, and he was kind of like, well, what happens if RSS goes away? And I go, what? I was like, the whole like, it's like, find me wherever you find your podcast. That wherever is thanks to RSS. That's your syndication. I'm like, and people forget, man, before the internet, if you wanted something on a company's shelf, like, hey, I want to get in front of your customers, can I please have this shelf space? It was like, no. And now it's like, hey, it's, and I always kind of think about that. People like, how do I grow my audience? Like, well, what's stopping you from growing your audience? Can you not get in front of your audience? Well, no, I've got RSS. I've got a website. Okay, well, what's the problem then? You know, because it used to be, I can't get in front of my audience. Well, now you can, but people want an algorithm to put, which I understand. Why wouldn't you? They want an algorithm to get it in front of all of their potential audience. And I get that. But, and going back just for a second about the cat podcast being on the charts, Ken Blanchard brings up a good point. Yeah, but is the chart real people? And I'm like, that's a good question. Dan Lefebvre from Based on a True Story podcast. Are authors concerned about AI slop books? It seems they'd be the first medium affected. Well, there are. That's a thing. In fact, you can now, if you wanted to, you could take your transcripts, which are generated by AI, and probably, put them all together and throw it into AI and go, yeah, take this, 10,000 words, and can you put this into a book for me and get you probably pretty close. Again, you always want to have a human do that, but it'll be interesting to see. John has a hot take. Forget AI. Commercials will ruin podcasts. If podcasts are to survive, they need to move away from commercial. I don't think they need to move away, and this will never happen because, again, AI slop will take that $2 CPM. We need to go, we're not going to take that. Actually, we don't need $5. We need $7 CPM because here's a report and another one and another one and another one. And if you didn't see those, another one and another one and another one that says that we have the best relationship with our audience. Consequently, they're going to do what we say or at least listen to us. So you need to pay more for that. So the problem is, that's something that I just go, I don't see that happening. Because there's always going to be that guy who goes, wait, 87 cents? I'll take that, and I'm like, So, but I think it's weird because really what I want to call for is price fixing, which I believe is illegal, right? Just to go, hey,
can we regulate it? Can we
get all the top 20 podcasts and go, hey, nobody's taking under, $25 CPM. And because then they'll come up with, the Dogcast and they'll take $1.50. So, Ralph says the bubble for those looking for cash and celebrity are going to finally realize it doesn't exist. And then all the hustlers and BS coaches will finally move on to another group to poach. Well, maybe. Yeah, I think that's been around since 2005 of people like, for 3 easy payments, I can make you a star. And I'm like, Mark Lawley from Practical Prepping, which, of course, if you're doing a show about practical prepping, you're a ham operator. He says ham was the original social media. And it kind of was. For a while, it was CB radios.
Yeah. Ham before CB. I think ham.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ham's older than CB.
I think ham radios. There's a picture, I think, in a caveman cave of a ham guy on his radio and a big antenna, that whole 9 yards.
Listen, I did CB radio after its heyday. So its heyday was the late 70s, right? And then in the 80s, I did CB. And we used to do a lot of the same kind of things you do in a chat room, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then we actually did these games where somebody would drive out somewhere and wouldn't tell anybody, and they'd queue up their CB device. And then this is super nerdy. Then based on the strength of their signal, you had to drive around and find them.
Yeah.
And we would do that with CBs. And then we would meet together as a group and this is what you look like in real life. And it was kind of some of the same discussions we have now when we meet at conferences. Like, we know each other as podcasters, but we haven't met in real life.
Right.
The same thing on the CB radio. And I'm sure it's the same at ham conferences, right? It's that same kind of thing. No, certainly they haven't gone away. And CB radios are still out there. Folks are still doing stuff. I think we've just seen the best days. Like cable television in the 90s, I think we've seen the best of RSS. We're in the heyday of it right now. It's super hard to see its diminishment when you're in the heyday of it. I know that. I know friends. I know you're like, no, this will never go anywhere. This too shall pass, my friends. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to go away. It just means it won't be what it is today.
I just know I'm already tired of, and in fact, I canceled most of them, of like, oh, I want to watch this program. Oh, it's on Hulu. Oh, I want to watch, it's on Netflix. Oh, it's on HBO. Oh, that one's on Peacock. The beauty of RSS is all my favorite shows are in one app. And all I need to do is, search, copy, paste, whatever. Yeah. Randy says RSS isn't going anywhere as long as Apple Podcast still relies on it. And the thing,
again, we're in the heyday of it, friends. We're in the heyday of RSS.
All right,
it's hard.
I wish on the No Agenda show they have a red book and they write down predictions. I'm like, we need to write this down so in a couple of years we're like, hey, we're still using RSS.
I'm gonna get murdered this week for saying this. Someone's going to track me down.
Well, so. You have a good point. You said cable TV in the 90s.
Yeah.
But what did they do? They kept, number one, the whole thing was we have more channels. They thought that's what people wanted. Not really. Right. And it's funny because to the best of my knowledge, nobody has ever come up with an a la carte. Like you get, for X amount of money, you get 15 channels and then you pick. It was always like here, it's X amount of money for 20 channels, X amount of money for 40 channels, or you can get our complete package for $80 a month and you watch, and it never failed. I want these two shows on plan A. Oh, but I have these other two shows that I need to, and there's that one show that I guess I got to get the whole thing. And so you're paying for a bunch of channels you don't want. And I think that's what killed cable. And then, of course, the internet and
the internet killed cable.
Yeah,
is what happened, right? You could now deliver great content. Listen, we'll go anywhere. When we wanted to watch, I don't know, put a series. What's maybe the latest Netflix series that's been real super popular? There's this new one. It doesn't matter. We go find it now. Like we're like, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna pay Netflix for a couple months while I watch this series, or an Apple TV series comes out. I mean, I've subscribed to and unsubscribed to Apple TV half a dozen times just to watch, just to watch a series. So I don't think like we the method doesn't matter, friends. How it gets to you doesn't matter. What matters is you do whatever it takes to watch it or to listen to it, right? And so today, that content's on RSS. That content's available in Podcast Player. But we know with video, we'll do whatever it takes to get to the location it is so we don't get left out at work or whatever when people are like, hey, did you see the latest episode of Reacher? Well, and you're like, oh, I don't have Netflix. And then the next night you're logging into Netflix so you can watch Reacher, whatever. Just making that up, right? But,
well, I know, and before anybody corrects us, yes, we know Reacher's on Amazon, not Netflix.
Okay,
but
anyway, thank you.
Send your letters to Jim at no. But it's funny you say that. I am right now. Last night I was binging Stranger Things, which, for the record, I still say they had one really good season, and they just did the same thing. Every season is like, there's a big monster. It's going to kill us all. I wonder if they're going to win, which is very much a superhero without capes kind of show. But I'm doing that so I can ditch my $17 a month Netflix, not because I can't afford it, because I hate wasting money. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay $18 to watch one show. And so I right now I'm on Hulu. and Netflix. I'm getting rid of Netflix, and I'm just about done with Hulu, and I'll go back to HBO, and then I'll go to wherever. Because I usually find that if now, like you said, and this is one of the things I think that might have kind of gone away, A, working together, and B, when you work together, do you still have that 8:05 moment where we're all gathered around the coffee machine going, so what'd you guys do last night? And you're like, oh man, I was watching, Reacher, which is that guy's huge. That guy,
giant.
he's a giant dude. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that there's that much. The only time you ever get that, and I still don't watch these live, is sporting events. Maybe the Super Bowl, but I've learned a long time ago, quit watching football live because nobody's, if I can tell people, don't tell me the score yet. And I can watch a football game in like 45 minutes versus 3 hours or whatever. And I don't have to.
Sure. Listen, I take the summaries and make them go faster now. So like Oregon and Indiana played last night for the semifinals for our national championship, which by the way is becoming like the NBA. This thing is lasting 1,000 years. The season's already started again and they're still in the playoffs. And you're like, how does that work? Right? It goes so long. But I was watching that or I wasn't watching it. I was kind of keeping track of it on the side. And then as soon as the sporting event was over, you wait 20 minutes and it shows up on YouTube as a short. It's like a 20-minute best of. And then I am still clicking through that to take 20 minutes and make it 10. Like I can get through those in 10 minutes. So I can see the highlights, everything I needed to know. Boom, done. I think that quick culture, this is why the TikTok stuff is working so well and why people like it, because they're getting just the meat. They're getting exactly what they want. They've got some control over it. It's shortened and they can move on to the next thing.
Yeah. And to go back to John's point, the one complaint I hear about TikTok now, they added the TikTok store. And everybody's selling something.
Oh yeah,
and they're like, "Well,
money somehow, Dave."
Exactly.
Somehow.
We've got some great comments again from because we're talking about growing your audience, like what's stopping you. Ralph says you can't grow your audience because you don't have enough money to go out there and advertise to buy it. I'm sorry, but I truly do not believe there's really organic growth in podcasting. To which I say,
That's a hot take.
I will disagree. I will disagree with that all day long because every day between my brother and my best friend, we are saying some sort of like, I watch this, I listen to this kind of thing. Pay attention to yourself, what you hear. You will hear people talking about things they did or saw or ate or whatever. Word of mouth that's not going away. Jeff C., if you can't get in front of your audience, you don't have an audience. Your content probably isn't good enough. People want shortcuts most of the time. That's one of my points in Monday School of Podcasting. It used to take me 8 minutes to make, SpaghettiOs when I was 8 years old. And, now it's 30 seconds. It's a grind and most people don't want to do it. You know what, Jeff?
They're really hot though. If in 30 seconds, they are like lava if you pull them out of the microwave, right?
And then you burn the back of your top of your mouth, because you were dying for SpaghettiOs. Now Todd the Gator says, I love talk shows that talk for 10 minutes, then break off for another 3 minutes of ads, come back to speak for another 10, and then another 3 minutes of commercials. I think I said this on the show. I tracked the Hallmark Channel, and they were 32% commercials. At one point, I watched 7 minutes of movie, and they went to 4 minutes of commercials. And I went, that's when I busted out my watch. I'm like, hold on, I gotta time this. So it's going back. Jeff says, I agree to a point that paid promotion can help. And that's where I kind of go, we are a lot like the movie industry. We should, right? We create content, we edit it. We should, but we don't have people consume it so we can make sure it's working. And then you pay a bunch of promotion to get people to watch it so they can do what? Tell their friends about it. And that's how it works. So, it's
every once in a while, like it is like the lottery in some regards. Every once in a while you have a runaway hit. Serial was this way. Like Serial did not put any money. I shouldn't say that way. They put very little money into advertising, especially in the beginning. They just were doing their craft, doing it the way that they do those kinds of things over there. and then somebody was passionate for this thing, and it just caught on, right? Then there was a long tail effect, right? There was a whole bunch of true crime stuff that came in behind it that took advantage of it, and profited just from the long tail of it. But sometimes you can't engineer that. Even good products that have good advertising in front of them,
right?
Sometimes I shouldn't say sometimes, a lot of the times they fail too. Friends, this is why there's no formula for it. You just got to kind of work all the angles that you have. And if it hits, man, you're awesome. When Microsoft was coming out way back in the 80s and 90s, when they were doing their stuff, there was no guarantee they were going to be the company they were going to be. They just worked like crazy and maybe stole a few things and put out some stuff, and then worked super hard, right, to make it happen. So I think we think there's a formula sometimes, like, yeah, if you just do this, you do that, you do this, it will. And it's like, well, it might not. If it doesn't, you pivot, you do something different, you try something different, you go down a different path, unless you're doing it for a passion project or a hobby. You like doing it, and the payoff is that. Then you just keep doing it, right? Home Gadget Geeks is a total passion project. I just do it because I like to talk to other tech people. It's the same thing here, Dave. I don't make a dime off Ask the Podcast Coach. I show up almost every Saturday. 48 out of 52 Saturdays I am here because I love being here. I love hanging out with you guys, right? If you're doing it for that, keep doing it.
That's going to be my point. Really, it's like, so. It's tricky. Yeah, Ralph was like, sometimes people hit the lottery as well. Word of mouth does work, but it only take you so far. Well, here's the thing. You brought up Serial. I remember Serial because I was still teaching in the corporate world. It was a long time ago. And within a week, I had 5 people tell me, hey, you're a podcast guy, right? Yeah. Have you heard about this thing called Serial? 5 people. That was unheard of at the time, because back then we were still kind of in the what's a podcast kind of thing. Like, what do you mean? What is it, like radio? And I had 5 people say, you got to listen to this thing. And so, but here's the thing, like with audio, right? You go up to 0, and if you go just a little bit over that 0, your audio is going to distort. To me, good content is like that green arrow. Remarkable content it just needs to be a little more than good to get people talking about it. And that's where I think we all make good content. We might even make great content, but I think there's a difference between good content, great content, and remarkable content, where people are like, oh, I got to tell somebody about this. That's why, so, and today, right? Jim is saying like, hey, RSS is probably going to go away in the future. That might have people go, did you hear what he said?
Diminish in the future.
Diminish.
It'll never go away. Diminish. Okay. I just want to, don't come to my house. I'm not interested in arguing about it.
Stephanie says, I don't know about that, Ralph. My hairstylist is very successful, and it's all word of mouth clients. There you go.
Listen, we tend to want to go 100% one way or the other, and it's just not that. It's a combination of all of this, right?
Bingo.
Serial was gigantic because of word of mouth, but that's one podcast in a sea of a million. Like, there's been very few. Rogan was the same way, although he had a marketing machine behind him. He's probably the other end of the pendulum, right? Where it was 100% marketing for Rogan, and he had a lot of word of mouth as well going on there. So, like, I think we need to get out of the world of absolutes where we say, no, it's this or it's never. I mean, back to my RSS comment, which you probably caught me on. It's not going to go away, right? I'm not saying like it's going to disappear. No, it'll always be there. But it won't be as important as it is. I think the same thing on these advertising methods. Like, you've got to figure out what works for you and what you're trying to do with your podcast. And so if that's paying for ads, and if that works for you, if you can find the right audience and pay and they'll come, pay for ads. If ads not the way to go, get your audience engaged so they're telling other people, right? You've got to figure out, this is the hard part, right? You've got to figure out what works for you. And then sometimes, and I think Serial is in this case, you get lucky.
There is that.
They got lucky.
There's timing timing and luck definitely can come into play. Dan from Based on a True Story podcast, there is no one-size-fit-all answer for whether or not you do paid promotion or word of mouth works. As Dave likes to say, it depends. Yeah. And then Ralph's like, yeah, hairdressers are not the content. Like, you need a haircut. You don't need a podcast. And I was like, that's an interesting point.
But they do rely. They're also local. You can't go listen to a hairdresser on an RSS feed and get your haircut. Like, you got to go in and it's a service, right? In a local context like that, word of mouth can be very powerful, because how else are you going to hear about it? I mean, it's just not going to happen any other way. So again, that's where engaging your brain, thinking about this for a second, and then saying like, hey, what's right for me? How does this work well for me?
Yeah, that's it. Oh, doggone it, I'm not logged in. I need my fun-filled affiliate link, because Stephanie's asking about a piece of gear, and it's called the Hollyland Mark II. It's got a bunch of, but it's a lav mic. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick.
Mark II. What's it? A missile?
Yeah, exactly. the Hollyland Lark M2. And so she was asking about it. The thing I like about this particular unit is the fact there's actually some bass to it. Now, if you listen to my last podcast, you hear me use it because it comes in this cute little package. I don't know what's going on with the delay. Come on. There we go, kids. But it comes in this cute little thing. And what I like about it is they're really tiny. Like, it's tiny. And you can just clip it on. If you want a thing where it doesn't do the thing, because it's got this clip, right? So you just clip it to something. So if you wanted it here, that would be kind of weird. And then it comes with a gizmo, so you can just plug it into your phone. So you want to make sure you get the right one for your phone if you're doing Android or whatever. And then I love this thing, which is it's the receiver. So if you want to put this, if you're using like a DSLR camera, you can run the audio out of this, and then but also send it to your phone if you want to. It's pretty cool that it does dual things. So I'm taking this to Podcast Movement. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to use that or the Rode Micro units. And again, these are really tiny. These have the little magnets. So if I just want to pin it down here, because the one thing I have found is when you'll see, I just saw someone yesterday, when you pin this here, it is a little bassier, and it's small, so it's inconspicuous, when you're doing that, because the mic is actually the small part, right? You basically put this out here like so, but it's not the S's and the T's kind of get lost, because that's out here and it's picking it out from under your chin. And so I was amazed that I took mine off and just did this, and that's where you'll see people now doing videos on YouTube, and they're holding the mic like this. Yeah. And it does your S's and T's. Now, no matter what you use, whether it's a lav mic or a shotgun mic, welcome to the world of post-production, because it's not going to be as clear as a dynamic mic 3 fingers from your mouth. That's just the way it is. And I am of the mindset of like, I'm a podcaster, I should have a microphone in the picture, but for some reason, like, no, what's really holding back my growth is this black cylinder thing in front of me. If I just put this down here, I would get many more clicks. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm sold on that. Yeah. So
I think we're getting to that world of the Star Trek communicator, the little badge where they, whatever. And in the early seasons, they used to have to touch it, and then they didn't. Then it just worked automatically. They must have added AI at that point, so it just worked. But I think we're getting to that point maybe where we wear that. I see so many YouTubers pinning. They just pin it to their shirt right down here.
The nice thing about the Micro from Rode, and to me, there's not a huge difference. Like Shure has a really cool one that has, and some of them like the Hollyland has a little noise reduction. Shure has, I think, better noise reduction on theirs. But no matter what you're doing, they're not going to sound good as a dynamic mic. But it is fun. Like if I take this to Podfest, I can just walk up to somebody, pin this on them, hit my record. There's a great app from Zoom called like Quick Record or something like that. It'll record both sides. So it's an easy way to do quick recording, but it's, again, going to sound, this is the Rode, I just remember it's Micro is something in the name. Let me, and it's cheaper. But like I said, the one that surprised me, I remember it was at Podcast Movement. Hollyland was giving them away. And I was like, what? And Daniel J. Lewis got one. So we were like kids with a new toy. I'm like, let's fire that bad boy up. So we did a quick recording, and I was like, huh. And as soon as we listened to it, I go, that actually has some warmth to it, because usually they're kind of shrill. They're a little bit like a headset mic. They don't really pick up much. And this actually had a little bit of warmth to it. And I was like, so, because it's either way, if it's super warm, then you got to add some S's and T's. You got to add some clarity to it. If it's a headset mic, well, okay, now I got to pull off some of that treble and try to add some bass. Yeah, Uncle Marv says the Rode Wireless Micro, and I'm trying to find my link to it. I thought I had.
What if you didn't care though? Like what? Not from an audio quality standpoint. Like what if we lived in a world where no matter how bad the audio was, we could fix it so it would sound perfect.
Well, we're getting close to that.
That day is today. Yeah, I think we can actually do that today. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have a drone, real quiet drone that would just drop down in the middle of our conversation, just hover there with pointed microphones and cameras at us? That would just do those things. Yeah, just imagine a world where none of that quality matters. All you have to do is get what you said, and then it just recreates it in a perfect environment with no audio behind it. You just don't care. All you got to do is capture the inflection and get enough to capture the words and the inflection in our fixing algorithms. I won't call them AI. Our fixing algorithms. Make that perfect audio. Then you don't care. Like that could be one of those things. Again, we wear so many devices. Dave, for you and me, that microphone could be on our glasses.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think Ralph was talking about, I think we see a lot of YouTubers put it on their hats, right?
That's a good point.
They clip it. Now it looks funny when you put the windscreen or the fuzzy on there, and you got those big fuzzy things sticking out of the side of your head. But it's, Dan brings up the DJI lav mic. I had a set of those and I loved it. And I was like, but it's going to be tougher to integrate with my Rodecaster. And in the end, if I could do that one over again, because they do something that the other ones don't, and that is they record locally on the device. So if you have I don't know where my phone is, but I've got to record this now, you can put 2 clips on, hit record, and it'll record both sides of the conversation. And it sounds pretty decent. I remember when I was doing the Akron podcast, and that's all I brought was the wireless micros and or the DJI mics, and it was cool. Yes, the tying in with the earlier discussion of cats, the little thing you put on a microphone, which I had one just sitting here a minute ago, is of course called the dead cat, and people find that offensive. So, that's right. Shoot.
Uncle Marv says, I use Adobe Podcast to remove all background noise when I record at conferences, and the voice sounds almost studio quality. One of the things I want to do at Podcast Movement, and I'm kind of really happy I don't have a booth because I can do whatever I want, is I want to hang out at the Adobe Podcast booth. And because I'm super familiar with their noise canceling thing, but I've never really seen, I mean, when it first came out, I started using just to play with it and go, oh, okay, yeah, it's kind of like Audacity in the sky in a way. And I haven't looked at it since then. So I want to see what they're up to, because they were on, I think, the Buzzcast, and it sounds like it was pretty cool. So I was like, Stephanie says, another piece of equipment I'm considering is the Podtrak P4 Next. Would this be better or either? Well, if you're going to get that, the beauty of that is it is super portable. It's small, it's tiny, and it's, I want to say $130, and it can go anywhere. And this is the Swiss Army knife of podcasting, because what it does is you can record 4 people in the same room, right? I've got my inputs right there. I can over here, I can plug in a phone. So now I've got 3 people in the same room with me, plus somebody on the phone. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody's on Zoom. Okay, I've got 2 people in the room with me, 1 person on USB via the computer and 1 guy via the phone. And it runs on batteries. It's got built-in headphone amps. The only thing I hate about it is the screen is really tiny. So if you got old eyes like mine, that's it. And I was hoping it was going to be bigger. And to me, they made it ever so slightly harder to adjust those things where if you have microphones in, it's a piece of cake to adjust the volume. But if it's something like a phone or something where you've plugged in this, you got to go through the menus to adjust the volume. Not the end of the world, but the beauty of this is you get this and a couple Samson Q2Us and you are good to go. You can do pretty much whatever you want with that. So this is probably the most recommended piece of equipment I have is the old P4 and now the P4 Next. It's it kind of, there aren't really too many options. That the only time this doesn't work if somebody goes, I have 6 people on a panel, and I'm like, okay, first of all, do you need 6 people? When you go above 4, you're kind of out of luck.
You could do some mic sharing though. If you have 6, this is, we don't recommend mic sharing at all. You and I are both have said like, don't do that. But in that setting, that may be one of those situations where if you put it on an arm and a swivel, you're not going to have all of them talking at the same time. You could probably do 4 mics with 6 people and get away with it. Dave, back in the 90s, I remember I was in banking at the time, and I remember a cell phone vendor. Remember when they used to have vendors that come around selling cell phones? And so we had this. I was talking to this guy who was doing that, and he was showing literally a phone to me that was the size of this pocket knife that I have here that I'm showing here. There's a little Swiss. See how it's like it's my, and you could talk on the on the phone. Now today those are Bluetooth, ear pieces that we just put in and we do it that way. But this was the form factor in the 90s, right? We brought it up. And a year or 2 later, we were like, where'd those go? And they're like, yeah, they were unusable. At the time, they were unusable.
Oh yeah,
because they were so small. Like nobody wanted to. Right? It wasn't until the Bluetooth stuff came along and we figured out how to do that. That with our audio devices, sometimes you mentioned that screen's a little small. Yeah. I think we've gotten to the point with some of these things, like it being the smallest is not necessarily the best. Like right? You're kind of like, make that screen a little bit bigger because there's some things I need to do on it that are super important. And we might have, I know they make them small because everybody, wants to carry them in their pocket. But I kind of think from a usability standpoint, like make that just a little bigger. It's okay. It's okay if it's a little bigger, kind of deal. I don't necessarily know if if it needs to be that small of a device.
The Tascam DR-10X is a cool little device that you can plug into any kind of microphone. So it's literally the size of the palm of your hand. So you plug the mic in, but this is the size of the screen. It's thinner than your small finger. And the other thing is it's backlit. That's the other thing I was really surprised. And I'm sure it's battery drain, things like that come into play. But if I'm using this outside, I have to go to my car. What I ended up doing was I just turned it on because it has a little mini SD card in it. I just turned it on and left it on, and then you take your interview mic out and you go around and you do the Bob Barker and you're good to go. But I just remember I can't read this thing, and if it's in this
phone app, does it have a phone app where you can do it on your phone as opposed to having to do everything on device? Because sometimes that's the solution to this, right? Is that
that would be great. Yeah, it doesn't. It's all you got 4 little buttons and you go through the menus, and it's if you're in a dark room, it's great. But I was like, who can read this? It's crazy.
Yeah. So. Well, it's just sometimes it gets unusable. I mean, it's great that we can do it, but you're like, well, okay, maybe we've engineered this to the point of inoperability. And now I just can't see what is on there. Again, I appreciate them making it as small as humanly possible, but then you're like, yeah, but I can't use it.
Right.
I don't have the ability to get to see what I need to see on this thing.
Yeah.
So just as you were showing that screen, I was like, oh, yeah, no, I get it. I get that we're trying to make things smaller, but in some cases that actually makes them worse. When we do it that way.
Rich Graham, thank you. He's let me know that I keep wanting to say Podfest, but I keep saying Podcast Movement. Unless it was something I did at Podcast Movement. But yeah, and Randy says you can add Bluetooth to the P4 Next for $59 bucks. And then Craig from Ingleus Podcast says the DJI, these lav mics are a bit on the heavy side, probably because they've got a little baby hard drive in there to record stuff too. He said the DJ now has minis. They're smaller and lighter. So, yeah.
I actually want my audio devices when I'm out doing podcasting live or whatever. I don't want light. I want actually bigger and heavier because I want it to sit on the table and not go flying around when someone moves their microphone, right? Yeah, and I know somebody, I think Uncle Marv had said same issue. People that they complained about. No, that's not what that one was. I'm talking about carrying around the big heavy cell phones from the bag phones. From
dude. Days. And again, I was just recommending movies to a friend of mine last night, and we were talking about that, some of the new movies, you're just kind of like, meh. So like this week I watched Big with Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because of course the clothes and the cars and everything, but it's funny when you get one of those movies and they have the brick with an antenna, cell phone, and
I wish I still had mine. I wish I still had my first flip phone.
Yeah, or a flip phone. Yep. I probably downstairs. I know I have. It's a phone with a keyboard on it. Like it's not a crap. What was that brand that went away? Crackberry, BlackBerry.
Oh, BlackBerry.
It was a BlackBerry style, but it wasn't a BlackBerry phone.
Did you say Crackberry? Is that what you call
Crackberry?
it?
Crackberry. Yeah. But yeah, so technology, and it's funny now because they do have, is it the Grasshopper? There's some phone made for old people with big giant numbers and a screen. They're like, and there's hardly any technology on it because, who needs it kind of thing. So that's always fun to see where
Wish I'd have kept those. I wish I would have kept those old phones just as a museum.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Todd the Gator says, hey, I did an experiment last week on my live show. I went straight to the main content and then did the, hey, what's new with you kind of section at the end of the show. And what do you know? More audiences stuck around. Interesting. It's putting the bread at the back of the grocery store maybe. And you're roping people in. So
what a great test. What a way, hey, test it. See what it works. Get some feedback.
Yes.
See how it goes.
Yes. The jitterbug. How could I forget? Which makes sense.
Just stay up really late tonight watching some SD content on one of those like 6.2 channels that you have. You'll see that commercial about 7,000 times.
Yes.
As well as catheters.
Yeah. Stephanie's like, where do you get the Bluetooth adapter? There's a place called Sweetwater. If you go to supportthisShow.com/Sweetwater, I'm sure if I type in Zoom, just Bluetooth adapter, I'm guessing, or just Zoom Bluetooth. Yes, there it is. The Zoom BTA2 series Bluetooth adapter. So it would be really easy if you want to get somebody on the phone. You could easily do that there. So, but I love Sweetwater because they add a year to the warranty, and you can also get some tech support. And then you have a really almost annoyingly, like their customer service is so good, it's almost annoying. Like they will call you up to make sure, like first they call you when you order to say thank you, and then they call you after it's arrived to make sure it's okay. So it's weird. Oh man, this is bad to hear. I know. This breaks my heart. Chris says, I moved my main external hard drive and it failed due to electrical issues. Paying a ton of money for recovery. Ouch. Yeah.
Back up, friends. Back up. Remember, it's not two places. Just because you send it there as a backup, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have the backup backed up as well. I don't know the situation here, so I'm not. It sucks. Listen, I've had I had a situation where my wife made a graduation video for my oldest son, and she spent hundreds of hours. And I was touting myself as the backup guy. You know, I was doing a podcast
Right.
on backups in those days, and I lost it. Like gone. No backup of the backup, and it had gone onto the backup server, and then that backup server failed, and it was gone. I worked at recovering that thing for days. You do not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's okay when I lose my data, but when you lose your spouse's data and you're the backup guy,
so how was it
almost got
like
murdered.
sleeping in the truck? Yeah.
I'm still outside in the shed. 15 years ago. Oh my
Does she
God.
still bring it back? And that's one of those where it's like you're in an argument.
No.
Well, I remember when remember back in 84.
Fortunately, she doesn't. You know, we try not to live in memories. We try to make sure we spend as much time as we can with each other in the moment for some of those kinds of things. But yeah, I definitely felt bad. That was probably my worst data loss ever. She's like,
yeah,
and it was in the moment. I mean, she just made it. It was maybe 6 months old.
Oh,
She's like,
man.
hey, you got that? I was trying to find this. Your heart sinks. I was trying to find that video that I made for Phil's graduation. Do you know where it's at? It's gone. It's gone. So it's pretty sad. Just make sure, you know, you're from a backup perspective. Again, this is a good time of the year. Make sure you're backing up your backups. If you're moving stuff to the cloud, make sure you can get it back. You need to go in there and try and randomly pull things out. Egress is real. You know, if you're buying cheap backup in the cloud, oftentimes you don't pay to put it there. You pay to get it back.
Yeah.
And so just make sure you understand your terms there and getting that kind of stuff back. But everything, you know, realistically, you should have a copy locally that you use for changing and editing and stuff to get fast. You could have a local copy on a backup device in your studio or whatever. That's kind of nice. By the way, if it's being versioned, that's not a backup. You need to get it away from your current work process so that if you corrupt the current file, it doesn't corrupt that one as well. So just versioning is not what we're talking about. We're talking about separated and backed up. And then ideally, you want to get that in the cloud. And that cloud could be, it's somebody else's house too, if you want to back it up that way or some way to get it done. But you want it off-site in case some disaster, flood, fire happens in your location. So 1, 2, 3 is what they call that. And maybe this week it's a good time to review your backup strategy just to make sure you're backing up what you want to keep.
Rich says Backblaze has saved my bacon a few times. Yeah, that's what I was doing because
good place to go.
I have all the School of Podcasting videos in Backblaze because I got a note that said, hey, like you're running out of hard drive space. I'm like, oh, welcome to video, kids. And so I was like, oh, and like you said, I use the one plan for some stuff it's super cheap to store. And it's, you know, it's a little more to download it. But in theory, I should never have to download this.
Yeah, B2 is that way at Backblaze.
Yeah.
So they call that B2 cold storage, sometimes what they call that. I think Backblaze might call it glacier storage. It's so cold. So you get it there, right? It's glacier cold. And they store it, like getting it there is super cheap. And the monthly, depending on what you store, I think I've stored 3 or 4 terabytes for $20 or $30, something like that. Get it back, do an egress though. So say you have a complete failure and you try to get 4 terabytes back. That's going to be a little expensive, friends.
Yeah.
You're going to pay a little bill to get all of that back. So just know what you're getting into.
Yeah, it's
oh no, Craig. Oh no.
Craig says I've been there. I deleted all my wife's recipes over 25 years. That is, and she's still married, and he's still married. That's wow. But on the other hand, she's probably, once she gets over the intense anger, she's probably like, you know what? I can get him to do anything I want from this point forward.
I own you. Yes.
So
yeah, that's a horrible feeling. That is just a horrible feeling.
But speaking of people that you appreciate having around, we want to take time to say, hey, thanks for all the awesome supporters. You can become an awesome supporter by going over to askthepodcastcoach.com/awesome. We deeply appreciate everybody who's doing that. And we've had a few drop off, and I looked and I'm like, hey, they've been doing that for years. So appreciate everyone who has been a supporter in the past. And if you've been thinking about it, Connie, by the way, Connie, I appreciate that you signed up. I sent you an email. We give you a big shout out when you first sign up, and I don't know what to shout out. So Connie, if you're listening, thank you for being an awesome supporter, but I need to know what to plug. I will be happy to do that for you. But the show is brought to you by the School of Podcasting.com, where you get courses, you get coaching, and an amazing community. And if you're kind of like, I'm not really sure if podcasting is going to be for me, remember, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee, so we can get you going in the right direction. And if on day 29 you're like, nah, I don't think so, well, I'll give you your money back. Use the coupon code COACH when you sign up. And if you need some feedback on your show, we're talking about growing your show today. It's been fun. I've had a few of these lately because we had a Black Friday deal. And it's always just these little things that people don't see. They're like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize that I never said my website address in my show. So if you want some feedback, check out podcasthotseat.com. It's really not as painful as it sounds. And if you go over to askthepodcastcoach.com, you're looking at PodPage, and we just rolled out a new feature called Autolink. There we go. And what this does is where you've put in a keyword, let's say you write a post about coffee. And so it's all about coffee, and it's the ultimate, post about coffee. And then later on your site, you have the word coffee in a post. It will automatically link the word coffee to the ultimate post about coffee on your site. So it basically is just another way to optimize your website, and it's 2 clicks and you're done. It's a beautiful feature that just came out. And if you need more Jim Cullison, and hey, who doesn't, then just go over to theaverageguy.tv, check out his show, Home Gadget Geeks, where he talks about gadgets for the home if you're kind of geeky. Check it out. And it is time for the Wheel O Names. Who will it be? Will it be Chris from castahead.net, Ralph from the Content Creators Accountant, or Ed from Sonic Cupcake? We have all these awesome people. Thank you to Jody over at the Audio Branding Show, and Greg at Indie Drop-In, and of course Glenn the Geek. We thanks everyone who is supporting, and we will spin the wheel and find out who it is. I was thinking about this. We can talk about this maybe later. How do you spot? Can you have more than one spotlight person? It is the one and only Chris Stone from castahead.net. If you're looking for a producer / editor, or if you're looking to do live streams and you need some help, Chris is kind of an all-in-one kind of guy. Check him out over at castahead.net, and also an amazing member of the School of Podcasting. He did speaking of lav mics, there's a new Shure microphone that you plug into your phone, and it's not a clip-on lav. It's actually a microphone. So you could basically point it at you as you're doing a selfie, and they came out now with a USB C version. So, and Chris did a cool write-up of that, and that's not the right slide. That one is. So if you're listening to the show and you're like, hey, did this show, why is this not, see, I'm on a new Mac. Oh, that's why. I have 3 monitors now, and so I have to get my hand trained that when I want to go to the teleprompter, I have to go left. So there we go. Does this show, does it save you time? Does it save you money? Did we make you laugh, cry, think, groan? Did we educate you? Did we entertain you? Do I entertain you? Simply go to askthepodcastcoach.com/awesome. You don't have to sign up for the $20 amount. You can just go over and do what Connie did. She said, well, I will chip in 5 bones, 5 shekels, and we appreciate that just as much. So it's always fun.
Dave, you know what I've noticed this week? So you changed your setup, right? You were using Mac and PC last week. We talked about synergy, right? To use if you want to go between PCs. You got a new monitor. Yep. For folks just joining us, you got a new monitor. You're now 100% on the Mac for the production. Yeah. What I've been noticing with Ecamm and the way you had it set up, I don't know how you had it set up the last time, but there were moments like when you would invoke the wheel, I would lose you. You would just kind of drop out. Your audio would get squashed and do some things. And what I noticed this week, that's not happening anymore. So for whatever you've done, this will maybe inside baseball and boring for some people, but whatever you did to get it all on the Mac, I'm at least from my end. Yeah. I know I always noticed I'd listen to the show and since you do a local recording, you would not necessarily see that or hear that, I think, because it was local to you. But my experience has gotten better this week for whatever changes you made, however you did that. So,
well, it's interesting. Muscle memory is a thing. And it's funny because this morning I woke up and I went to listen to Spotify and turned right, because that used to be another machine. I would click on Spotify and click play. It would be on channel 3. And now everything, it's kind of easier. Everything is on channel 2. That's the audio for the Mac. And I just basically will take a tab and drag it over to this monitor and keep the other one over here. And so there's that. And there's just other things that I'm just used to doing. And I'm like, oh, the other one, it used to be I would drag my mouse and it would go from the left monitor through the teleprompter into the right monitor. And now I have it set up, and I might switch this back where I don't really drag things much to the teleprompter. So it is now the first monitor on the left, then the left monitor, and then the right monitor. And so when I was trying to drag the wheel of names thing there at the end, I was like, oh, wait, I've got to go far left now. So just little things you learn to...
Well, better experience for me. Again, I don't know if it's necessarily translated to the live or to the listeners. So, Randy was saying, Jim's telling how the sausage is made. What's kind of the point of the show, right? It's for, we get a little behind the scenes for you guys. But it has changed my experience with you here, not hearing those, not hearing it drop out or stuttering like I had heard before.
Well, that's cool, because it's funny when I switched to the wheel of names, in my headphones, it kind of for like a nanosecond cut out, and I was like, "Ooh, is this going to be a memory issue now?" So, but if it sounded good going your way, that's beautiful.
Okay. Sounded okay to me. Well, now we'll have to see. Like, you could have. This is one of those areas where fixing one thing breaks another. Right?
Yeah.
It could be now that because you moved that, it's not affecting the live stream with me, but it is showing up in your recording. So you might want to go back this week, listen to that moment based on your side, and say, hey, did something change in a way that is now affecting me here? This is good for podcasters to know, changing that environment. Anytime you change anything, you should do a bunch of testing around it just to make sure it's getting what you think it is. Because you think, oh, yeah, this shouldn't have any difference. And then you're like, yeah, it actually does. Well, just a good reminder to test.
Dad Space brought up that Rob Walch addressed his departure. So when I was saying earlier things like, there are things coming down at Libsyn, that was one I knew about. And he's still got Podcast 411. And basically, as Rob put it, Libsyn has chosen to go in a different direction. And that different direction does not include Rob, does not include Elsie. And my logical brain does not comprehend that. I'm like, wait, these are two of the most influential, most knowledgeable people. So whatever direction they're going in, I do not understand. I kind of voiced some of this on my LinkedIn and got a little snarky. I said, gee, I think I have a name for that direction. It's called Down the Drain. But wherever they're going, I know they just promoted Brian. I used to call him Brian the Video Guy. And they promoted him in marketing. So I'm like, well, that's a good move. So I'll be interested to see what their new direction is. I just know, and I've always said this, Libsyn, first of all, I wouldn't be where I am without Libsyn. I was there for 8 years, and I still have people like, aren't you at Libsyn? I'm like, I haven't been there for almost 2 years. I just saw the writing on the wall that they were leaning much more advertising, and they were just decisions they made that I'm like, that's not the Libsyn way. And then they would make another one. I go, that's not the Libsyn. And I was like, wait a minute, the Libsyn way is changing. And I saw that and was like, this. And I've always said, Libsyn is, ice cream. I love ice cream. Vanilla ice cream's great. But if you give me chocolate peanut butter, I'm going to take that all day long. And to me, PodPage was better suited for my skill set. So I'll be interested to see. And I've had people ask me, they're like, should I move? And I'm like, if it does what you need it to do, but just realize there are better options, but that doesn't mean that they're a bad option. It just means there are better ones. So if all you need is a media host and you're on there and all you do is publish twice a month and you don't really use the dynamic ads, as far as I know, Matthew Passy is still there. And Matthew came out with a tool. Oh, Matthew, I'm sorry. I don't know what the URL is, but if you ever we're talking about backing up your podcast. he came out with a tool now that you throw in your RSS feed and it uploads it to the cloud. And not to pop his bubble, if you're on a Mac, there is a tool, I think it's called Podcast Archive, that's like $7. It's an app. And why? I've lost all control of my mouse on my, here we go. It is, I'm trying to find it. Pocket Cast, there we go. Podcast Archiver on a Mac is $7. And what it does is you throw your RSS feed in, it downloads all of your episodes, not by file name, but by the name of the, so if it was, normally SOP123.mp3, but the actual episode was called Dave and Jim Talk Backups, it would download, the file name would be Dave and Jim Talk Backups.mp3. And so it's, that's like $8. And I'm not sure, I think Matthews is based on how many episodes you have. And that's when I saw, cause I have, 1,000. I mean, this show's on, I think this is 562, so the more, but on the other hand, the more stuff you have, the more episodes, the more you kind of want to keep those. Now we're into the 25 years of recipes. You really don't want to lose that. Libsyn has also increased the price. I'll be moving away too. Yeah, I'm going to move some of my stuff. It's again, they're not bad. It'll be a very unique situation that I will be that. So I don't have an archive or a link to, I should, for the podcast archive. It's $7. So if I made 20% of that, I make, 36 cents, something like that. And then Randy says Podcast Archiver will also download the artwork and the show notes. So there you go. Who knew? So with that, I know we're early, but we could sit here and we could do. So Jim, what's new with you? we could do do the catch up. But what is coming up on Home Gadget Geeks?
Yeah, I've been taking a break. I think I'm back next week. I think I'm back next week. I have to look at the schedule, but I've been taking a long break. Jay Franzi was the last one. He was in chat a little bit earlier. He was the last one on the show. I threw the link to the song. I think I did this at the end last week, but Jay and I created an AI-influenced song. I say influenced because he wrote the lyrics, right?
Nice.
So it was his lyrical content, added music to it on the show. We kind of go through the process of adapting that via AI and working through it. So if you're thinking about creating some music that way, might be a great show to listen to. You can see the end result. I threw the link to the YouTube video in chat if you want to go watch it. I like it. Check it out. You can check it out today, homegadgetgeeks.com.
Yeah, on the School of Podcasting, last week I kind of did a revamped version of how to start a podcast. And for the record, I do not like that episode. I mean, it's not bad. I had other things planned, and then at the last minute, life hit, and that was kind of thrown together a little more than I wanted it to. But so this week we're talking about why should I podcast, and then also I've just run into a ton of people doing because of my podcast stories. Lou Mangello had one that was just amazing, and so I'm just going to spotlight like here are some things. So it's a little more of an inspirational kind of episode than usual, but that'll be coming up. Also talking about the fact, like I had somebody this week, they're like, I'm on episode 10 and I want to do this for a living. And I'm like, well, okay, but that's not going to happen by episode 12. Like there's some timing in here, kind of what we talked about today. There's luck, there's timing, there's, time, talent, treasure, content, delivery, all those fun things. We'll be on the School of Podcasting this week. So yeah, Steven says, hey, hit the like button. And while you're there, you can also hit the subscribe button if you want to. And
are we here next week?
No show next week. Yeah, I'll be at Podfest. So I'll see you in 2 weeks.